hand and help me face the rising sun. Comfort me through all the pain that life may bring. There's no other hope that I can lean upon. Lead me, Lord, lead me all my life. Walk by me across the lonely roads that I may face. Take my arms and let your hand show me the way. Show the way to live inside your heart. All my days, all my life, you are my light. You're the lamp upon my feet. All the time, my Lord, I need you there. You are my light. I cannot live alone. Let me stay by your guiding love all through my life. Lead me, Lord. Lead me, Lord. Even though at times I'd rather go alone my way, help me take the right direction. Take your road. Lead me, Lord, and never leave my side. All my days, all my life, you are my light. You're the lamp upon my feet. All the time, my Lord, I need you there. You are my light. I cannot live alone. Let me stay by your guiding love all through my life. You are my light. You're the lamp upon my feet. All the time, my Lord, I need you there. You are my light. I cannot live alone. Let me stay by your guiding love all through my life, all through my days. Oh, lead me, oh Lord. Oh, lead me, Lord. Lead me.
bayan, ang pambansang awit ng Pilipinas.
Kayang magiliw, telas ng silanganan, alam ng puso, sa dikit mo'y buhay. Lupang hinirang, tuya ka ng magiting, sa manlulupin, di ka pasisigiw, sa nagatang tutok sa simoy at sa langit ng pangaw, ay hinatang tulad, awit sa paglayang minamahal, ang isang ng matawad mo'y tagumpay na naghihingi, ang bituin at araw niya kailan ang ay di maghihingi. Luma ng araw ng walhagit pagsinta, buhay langit sa piling mo. Ang ligaya ng barkay mga amin, ang mamatay ng dahil sa'yo.
What is assessment of learning? Assessment of learning refers to strategies designed to confirm what students know, demonstrate whether or not they have met curriculum outcomes or the goals of their individualized programs, or to certify proficiency and make decisions about students' future programs or placements. It is designed to provide evidence of achievement to parents, other educators, the students themselves, and sometimes to outside groups. Assessment of learning is the assessment that becomes public and results in statements or symbols about how well students are learned. It often contributes to pivotal decisions that will affect students' future. It is important that the underlying logic and measurement of assessment of learning be credible and defensible. So what are the teacher's role in assessment of learning? Because the consequences of assessment of learning are often far-reaching and affect students seriously, teachers have the responsibility of reporting student learning accurately and fairly, based on the evidence obtained from a variety of contexts and applications. Effective assessment of learning requires that teachers provide first a rationale for undertaking a particular assessment of learning at a particular point in time. Clear descriptions of the intended learning process that make it possible for students to demonstrate their competence and skill. Range of alternative mechanisms for assessing the same outcomes, public and defensible reference points for making judgments, rethinking classroom assessment with purpose in transparent approaches to interpretation, descriptions of the assessment process, strategies for recourse in an event of disagreement about the decisions with the help of their teachers. Students can look forward to assessment of learning, tasks at occasion to show their competence as well as the depth of breadth of their learning. The planning assessment of learning. The purpose of assessment of learning is to measure, certify, and report the level of students' learning so that reasonable decisions can be made about the students. There are many potential users of the information, the teachers, who can use the information to communicate with parents about their children's proficiency and progress, parents and students who can use the results for making educational and vocational decisions, potential employers and post-secondary institutions who can use the information to make decisions about hiring or acceptance, principal, district, or divisional administrators and teachers who can use the information to review and revise programming. Assessment of learning requires the collection and interpretation of information about students' accomplishments in important curricular areas in ways that represent the natures and complexity of the intended learning. Because genuine learning for understanding is much more than just recognition or recall or facts or algorithms. Assessment of learning tasks need to enable students to show the complexity of their understanding. Students need to be able to apply key concepts, knowledge, skills, and attitudes in ways that are authentic and consistent with current thinking in the knowledge domain. In assessment of learning, The methods chosen need to address the intended curriculum outcomes and the continuum of learning that is required to reach the outcomes. The methods must allow all students to show their understanding and produce sufficient information to support credible and defensible statements about the nature and quality of their learning, so that others can use the results in appropriate ways. Assessment of learning methods include not only tests and examinations, but also a rich variety of products and demonstrations of learning portfolios, exhibition, performances, presentation, simulations, multimedia projects, and a variety of written, oral, and visual methods. So, how can I ensure quality in this assessment process? Assessment of learning needs to be very carefully constructed so that the information upon which decisions are made is of the highest quality. Assessment of learning is designed to be summative and to produce defensible and accurate descriptions of students' competence in relation to defined outcomes and occasionally in relation to the other students' assessment results. Certification of students' proficiency should be based on a rigorous, reliable, and equitable process of assessment and evaluation. Reliability in assessment of learning depends on how accurate, consistent, fair, and free from bias and distortion the assessment is. Teachers might ask themselves, do I have enough information about the learning of these particular students to make a definitive statement? Was the information collected in a way that gives all students an equal chance to show their learning? Would another teacher arrive at the same conclusion? Would I make the same decision if I considered this information at another time or in another way? So next, reference points. Typically, the reference points for assessment of learning are the learning outcomes as identified in the curriculum that make up the course of study. Assessment tasks include measures of these learning outcomes, and students' performance is interpreted and reported in relation of these learning outcomes. In some situations where the selection decisions need to be made for limited positions, for example, university entrance, scholarships, employment opportunities. Assessment of learning results are used to rank students in such norm reference situations. What is being measured needs to be clear, and the way it is being measured needs to be transparent to anyone who might use the assessment results. Validity. Because assessment of learning results in statements about students' proficiency in wide areas of study, assessment of learning tasks must reflect the key knowledge, concepts, skills, and disposition set in the curriculum, and the students and inferences that emerge must be upheld by the evidence collected. Record keeping. Whichever approaches teachers choose for assessment of learning, it is their records to provide details about the quality of the measurement. Detailed records of the various components of the assessment of learning are essential, with the description of what each component measures, with that accuracy and against what criteria and reference points, and should include supporting evidence related to the outcomes as justification. When teachers keep records that are detailed and descriptive, they are in excellent position to provide meaningful reports to parents and others. Merely a symbolic representation of a student's accomplishments, for example, a letter grade or percentage, is inadequate. Reports to parents and others should identify the intended learning that the report covers, the assessment methods used to gather the supporting information, and the criteria used to make the judgment. So how can I use the information from this assessment? First, we have feedback to students. Because assessment of learning comes most often at the end of a unit of learning cycle, feedback to students has a less obvious effect on student learning than assessment for learning and assessment as learning. Nevertheless, students do rely on their marks and on teachers' comments as indicators of their levels of success and to make decisions about their future learning endeavors. Differentiating learning. In assessment of learning, differentiation occurs in the assessment itself. It would make little sense to ask a nearsighted person to demonstrate driving proficiency without glasses. When the driver uses glasses, it is possible for the examiner to get an accurate picture of the driver's ability and to certify him or her to be proficient in much so many ways. Next, we have necessary accommodations be in place that allow students to make the particular learning visible. Multiple forms of assessment offer multiple pathways for making students' learning transparent to the teacher. A particular curriculum outcome requirement, such as an understanding of the social studies notion, for example, might be demonstrated through visual, oral, dramatic, or written representations, as long as the writing were not an explicit component of the outcome. Students who have difficulties with written language, for example, would have then the same opportunity to demonstrate their learning as the offers other students. Although assessment of learning does not always lead teachers to differentiate instruction or resources, it has a profound effect on the placement and promotion of students and consequently on the nature and differentiation of the future instruction and programming that students receive. Therefore, assessment results need to be accurate and detailed enough to allow for wise recommendations. Reporting. There are many possible approaches to reporting students' proficiency. Reporting assessment of learning needs to be appropriate for the audiences for whom it is intended and should provide all the information necessary for them to make reasoned decisions, regardless of them from the reporting. It should be honest, fair, and provide sufficient detail and contextual information so that it can be clearly understood. Traditional reporting, which relies only on a student's average score, provides a little information about student skill development or knowledge. One alternate mechanism which recognizes many forms of such success and provides a profile of the student's level of performance on an emergent proficient continuum is Parent-Student-Teacher Conference. This forum provides parents with a great deal of information and reinforces students' responsibility for their learning. And that is assessment of learning. Now to discuss the tools and assessment for assessment of learning, here is Miss AINGEL LYCA MANINGAS and Miss TANYA NICOL MONILLA.
Assessment tools are devices or approaches that are used to determine a student's academic capabilities and abilities in a subject. They assist in the identification of techniques for promoting student learning and academic fluency. They aid teachers and educators in making well-informed decisions on how to build learning techniques for the kids. These tools play a very important role in understanding the improvement required in the learning process. These techniques must be goal-oriented, high on thinking skills, and simple. They must not hold on a child responsible for performing low in particular subject matter but focus on the positive aspect of it. These are the apps and websites classified now in online learning as tools used in assessment. Let me discuss to you some top of them which we are familiar to. We have here the Socrative, quizzes and questions with real-time grading. Educators and professional reviewers alike have recognized it as one of the top-rated evaluation tools for teachers. It's an interactive digital tool that let you quiz, grade, and assess on the fly. At the speed of learning, teachers can choose from quick questions for instant feedback, class counts to see who's logged in, or full quizzes for deeper understanding. You can create polls, activities, and shuffle questions with or without student names using powerful tools. Quizzes are assessed in real time and can be saved for later use with different groups. It works on MS Windows, Android, and iOS phones, tablets, computer, and other devices. It's completely free for students and straightforward, adaptable, and aligned with Common Core. Google Forms. We are most familiar with this one. We often use this tool for our assessment. Google Form is a go-to among teachers because it's a quick and simple to create and automatically grade quizzes, even if it's your first time using the tool. Create the multiple choice quizzes or short answer quizzes and make an essay answer key with point assignments for each questions. Quizzes. We commonly use this in our subject Introduction to ICT. We can assess this by downloading the app or in the website quizzes.com. It is a formative assessment option based on a digital game of shuffled question and answer choices. Quizzes works on any devices that has a browser. Android, iOS, and Chrome apps are also available. The game is engaging for students and provides teachers with essential instructional data. It also have ranking once you've done or finished the questions. Flipgrid. It is a website and app that allows teachers to facilitate video discussions. Students are organized into groups and then given access to discussion topics. We use this sometimes for real-time discussion, wherein you can answer the questions on the spot after reading the question given by you by recording yourself in video through Flipgrid app to know and assess what students learned from the topic or the discussion. Google Classroom. It is a free blended learning platform developed by Google for schools that are aims to simplify creating, distributing, and grading assignments. The primary purpose of Google Classroom is to streamline the process of sharing files, activities, and assignments between teachers and students.
What is traditional learning? Knowledge is acquired in a traditional classroom setting, which means teachers are using dictionaries, textbooks, atlases, almanacs, and encyclopedias as their evidence of teaching. In traditional learning, there's a lot of paperworks and written activities to moderate and regulates the knowledge that the teachers assess. Unlike to the online class that uses technologies and less paperworks. Also, teachers want the student to apply what they've learned during the discussion by giving them a written activities as the learning measurement. It is also important to determine the students' performances by giving them some quiz, test, and evaluation to measure their performances. Difference between online class and traditional learning. In online learning, it uses some different kinds of website and application like quizzes, Schoology, and Google Form in assessment of learning. Unlike to the traditional learning that uses paperworks, textbooks, quizzes, as the assessment for learning that may utilize to improve student performances and teaching approaches. Advantages of traditional learning for assessment. Number 1, it is easy to understand the topic because there's a physical interaction in traditional learning, which is a student can gather information clearly during the discussion. Number 2, teachers can deliver knowledge clearly because in online class or online learning, it uses internet connection to discuss the topics, and there's a times that the internet connection will be poor and it can affect misunderstanding but in traditional learning, teachers can speak clearly and precisely. Number 3, in face-to-face or one-to-one discussion. Face-to-face learning is the most effective way in teaching because teachers can easily determine the students' strengths and weaknesses. Number 4, social environment is ideal for developing a student character and individuality. For me, every student needs to have social interaction to their classmates because it can develop their characteristic and personality. And then last, disadvantages of online learning for assessment of learning. Number 1, students lack of focus during the online class? Yes, because studying at home is difficult. There's a lot of distraction around us. Number 2, online learning also prohibits social interaction. It can affect your mental health because sometimes you need to be exposed to someone to help you to maintain healthy mental health. Number 3, it is easy to access the content on the internet. Yes, because sometimes the topic that the teachers discuss will be searchable. Number 4, it is hard to find fast internet connection. Yes, we know that Philippines has a poor internet connection. Number 5, teachers cannot deliver the knowledge clearly. It is because of their internet connection or the distractions. And number 6, it focuses on self-study.